Okay, big news from last night. President Obama experienced the first veto override of his presidency nearly 8 years into his presidency. So that is an accomplishment in and of itself. President Obama previously vetoed legislation which would allow relatives of 9/11 victims to sue Saudi Arabia. When the president vetoes a bill, the House and Senate can then come together and vote to override that veto. And that is exactly what happened last night. The House of Representatives voted 348 to 77 against President Obama's veto. And also the Senate voted 97 to 1 to reject that veto, meaning that the Justice Against Sponsors of Terrorism Act will indeed become the law. What this law will do is grant an exception. There's this legal principle called sovereign immunity in cases of terrorism on U.S. soil, meaning if people from foreign country X come to the U.S. and commit an act of terror, Americans are not able to sue country X because the people who did the act of terror came from their country. This law will create an exception to that legal principle. Saudi Arabia has for a long time denied the allegations that hijackers who attacked the U.S. on 9/11 were backed by the Saudi government or royal family. We know that 15 of the 19 hijackers were Saudi nationals. So that is going to change. Now, you might say, well, there's probably some other side to this, right? I mean, it sounds good if we have people in Saudi Arabia that we believe were funded by the Saudi government. We want to be able to sue them. What is being said as the counter is that this really does open up the door to the U.S. being sued when Americans go to other countries and perpetrate acts of terror or criminality abroad. And that's sort of like the main opposition that we've been hearing to this. That is sort of where the debate is mostly. CIA Director John Brennan said that there are, quote, grave implications for national security, because if this were to also be applied to the U.S., all of a sudden you have a potential liability sort of hanging out there that the United States could be sued in similar ways as to the way in which Saudi Arabia could potentially be sued as a result of this veto override. Within hours of the vote, nearly 30 senators signed a letter expressing that they have some reservations about the potential consequences of the law, including that the U.S. could be sued in foreign courts. What's fascinating to me about this, when I step back, number one, it's hard for me to imagine feeling really strongly about taking Saudi Arabia out of harm's way as part of our vile and totally depraved alliance with Saudi Arabia. But I had another thought, which is when we think about the Trans-Pacific Partnership, right? One of the things that TPP will do is it will make it so that transnational corporations, rather than being sued or litigated within one of the countries in which they operate, instead will be brought to some kind of international arbitration. And this is very, very dangerous. As progressives, we should be very concerned about that, because it allows these countries and major corporations, through the influence that they have, to set up a system where it's going to be really, really favorable to them, much more favorable to them than the justice system of any particular country in which they operate. It is getting us circumventing the individual justice systems of individual countries. This has a similar issue, like we are talking about when you say, well, now American citizens can sue the country of Saudi Arabia without being citizens of that country, without being legal residents of that country. You are also creating a sort of extrajudicial, at least when it comes to the country level mechanism. And that is something that we need to think about big picture. Now, I know that it's different in TPP and in what we're talking about here with suing Saudi Arabia. We're talking about two different mechanisms. But big picture, that's a lot of what is at issue here, which is going above and beyond the rules of the country in which one is a citizen or a permanent resident, and what the potential implications of that will be. So this is going to take some time to shake out. Those are some of the concerns that we've heard so far. Warby Parker is offering a free 5-day home try-on to give you the opportunity to check out their glasses. I personally wear Warby Parker glasses when I'm not wearing my contact lenses, and I also started with one of these free at-home try-ons of 5 pairs of glasses. You can get your free home try-on and support the David Pakman Show at warbyparkertrial.com/TDPS. I don't really like going into glasses stores and trying on glasses while the salesperson sort of hovers over me, and I like more than 30 seconds to actually figure out whether I like the glasses. So with the Warby Parker home try-on, I was able to pick 5 pairs that I liked, put them on in the comfort of my own home, pick the one I like the most, and then Warby Parker put my prescription lenses in there for me. A lot of people don't know that the eyeglass industry is controlled by just a few big corporations that keep prices very high, like $300 for prescription glasses high, which is just insane. Warby Parker glasses start at $95. That's what mine cost. And for every pair of glasses sold, Warby Parker distributes a pair of glasses to someone in need. You can try 5 pairs and see what you like. Check out the at-home trial and support our show by going to warbyparker.com/TDPS. It costs nothing.